Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Zero Reviews Tech, and this is the Leagoo T5c, and it's going to be a full benchmark and gaming video. And this phone runs the new Spreadtrum SC9853i processor. This processor is actually based on Intel's architecture, their Airmont x86 design. And if you remember in the unboxing, I asked you what other Intel chip was also based on the same design. And the answer is the Intel's X5 Z8300 Cherry Trail chips designed for tablets and low-cost options. In a bit more detail about the Airmont architecture, it's based on a 14 nanometer process, which in turn is a die shrink from the previous generation Silvermont, which would be the first generation of the new Atoms, if you remember way back to the Z3745. I think we all have high hopes for the Spreadtrum's chipset in here, and let's see if it lives up to its hype. So first, let's talk benchmarks. I ran into two benchmark, and the phone got a score of 50,000 points, and here is the breakdown of the score. You see how you have very high CPU score of 18,000, which is actually as high as the Helio P23 processor. But if you look at the graphics chip, or the 3D, it only gets about 7,500, which is actually really low compared to, again, the Helio P23. And the reason why the 3D score is so bad is because the Spreadtrum uses the Mali T820 dual-core graphics chip, and the only other place it's found is in the Amlogic S912 SoC, which is usually found in cheap TV boxes. I also ran PC Mark, and the score I got here was 3,500, which is definitely worse than the Helio P23, which scores roughly 4,500. But considering the price of this phone, which is $130 and $100 on sale, it's not bad at all. Next up is Geekbench, and in Geekbench, you can see I got a multi-core score of 2,800 and a single core score of 700. Now, the 700 score is actually not very good at all. If you look over here, compare it to all these phones over here. See the OnePlus 3 with the Snapdragon 820? It gets more than double what this gets over here. But if you compare the multi-core score of 2,867 and you compare it again to the OnePlus 3, the gap is definitely closer. So I want to show you what this is close to, and you can see that compare it to the Motorola Nexus 6, Snapdragon 805, Nexus 6P, Snapdragon 810, and the score is actually pretty much the exact same, which means that the multi-core score power on the Spreadtrum compared to the Snapdragon 810 is actually almost the same. The single core score is definitely worse though. Next up, I have some 3D benchmarks from 3D Mark, and the first is Slingshot. It got 302, which is bad, and it got worse scores on the Helio P23, which got about 400 on Slingshot Extreme, which is the more intense benchmark. And if you compare it to the other benchmark, Ice Storm Extreme, it got 5,500, and again, the Helio P23 got about 7,000, and if you compare that to the Helio P25, which gets about 10,000, so this is about half the score of the Helio P25. Finally, I also ran a performance test on the disk, on the eMMC, and see these scores over here: 71, 18, 72, 8 megabytes a second. These are not very good scores. Most other eMMCs get at least 100 megabytes a second on internal read and writes. And I'm really surprised by the slow storage speeds on here, and that could be a reason why this phone feels so slow. But nevertheless, let's move on to gaming next.
extraction location. Over. Hold up. Come on. Let's go. Thanks. Contact! 3-2, this is Monarch. Advance to extraction point B. Over. You heard him. Come on. Gotta reload. Take him out. That's all right out here. Take it, Cliff. Get in the goddamn boat.
So the price of the phone is super low. It's the same price as the Xiaomi Redmi 4X. And when this phone goes on sale for about $100, it's slightly more expensive than the Redmi 4A. It benchmarks very well for the CPU, but it fails a little bit for the graphics chip. However, you can still see that I can play most of the intense games. Some of them lagged a little bit. That being said, the Leagoo T5c still can play many intense games no problem, meaning the Spreadtrum chip is capable of handling a lot at 1080p. Make sure to check out my full review soon about the Leagoo T5c. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.